All right, let's start and then they're going to show up. So just a quick reminder, we are the community of Oceania Geospatial Water Resource Workgroup, and I'm very happy to welcome you tonight for our last webinar of the year. It's the Wrap-Up 25 webinar. And so I'm Pearl Winchester. I'm originally from New Caledonia. And Nick from SPC is my co-animator. Nick is online, but he's not able to speak, and you all know him. So he's actually working at SPC in Fiji. What's up for today? We're gonna be quick about, well, we just did, what is the COG Water Resource Workgroup? We will go through the numbers and the best practices that we shared this year for those of you that were not present. We're gonna talk about the creation of the Pacific Islands and Country, Pacific Island, Country and Territories, PICT, Regional Committee for the International Association of Hydrological Sciences. We will do a quick review of the Oceania Geospatial Symposium 2025 that was in Fiji just a few weeks back. And then we're going to finish with an interactive session to organize 2026 together. And of course, if you have any question and answer, feel free to type them in the chat or raise your hand up. It's as you want, as you wish. All right, it's here. So the quick reminder, but you know all about it already. The Community of Oceania Geospatial Water Resource Workgroup is a work group, of course, but his objective is sharing information and knowledge for the benefit of our Pacific Island countries and territory in the geospatial field and for water resources. And so we are in the middle of water resource, Oceania, and everything that is geospatial, which is the GIS, satellite, UAV, GPS, you name it, it's in. Our topics are everything that is around yes, there we go. The great cycle of water. We don't talk about ocean, but we talk about everything else. Atmosphere all the way to groundwater. And we are on LinkedIn. If you want to join us, we created a small group on LinkedIn. Our main values are community, sharing, collaboration, sustainable development. And our idea is really to build bridges between the Pacific Islands geospatial communities. If we go through the numbers for this year, so we posted 28 posts on the LinkedIn in the group, which created more than 10,000 views. And I'm actually very happy because today we're 98 members, starting from 50 in January. And I'm actually counting on you to see if we can reach 100 before the end of the year. So I would be glad if you could actually join the LinkedIn to make sure that we reach 100 pretty soon. We also reached today 242 people through the mailing, and it's still rising up as we have newcomers. And this is the kind of example of LinkedIn post that we create to try to get some experience or information sharing between our members. In 2025, we organized 7 webinars, including 5 that were technical webinars. So nature-based solution for water, water and artificial intelligence, drinking water and climate change resilience, databases for water resources, and groundwater monitoring. The slides and docs are on the internet, and you can find the replays on YouTube. I'll just leave you 1 second if you want to scan the QR code if you don't have already the links. And I actually have a question for you. As it's already 15 past, I wanted to go through a bit more details on all the best practices but it might be a bit long. So I just wanted to know if you wanted me to go through all the best practices that we saw, or if you still remember them because you were there during the webinars, actually. Okay, I'll do it then. All right, so let me see. I'll show it right after. Or also this year, we did one capacity development workshop around groundwater modeling with ModFlow 6, which was organized in collaboration with the Research Institute for Humanity and Nature in Japan. And so I really want to thank Chris, Dr. Castelli, Dr. Yasumoto, and Christmas Yoshiyama that made this great opportunity for COG Water Resource to actually get some training, to share some training. And today you will have the replay that is available on YouTube. It's the same link as earlier. It's on our YouTube channel. And so here, that's where I'm actually changing up. Give me a minute so I can change up slides. That's not here. Deck. Can you see still my screen with the best practices and tips?
Yeah, we don't just see the COG
The old one.
plugin
Okay,
numbers.
so I'm gonna stop and share again. It's the one here. Share. How about now?
It's coming slowly. Good on my side.
All right. So this you know already, So the first webinar we had was the one around nature-based solutions. Our first speaker was Marine from New Caledonia, and she actually talked about how to prioritize a nature-based solution at a territorial and national scales using GIS. And really the best practices that she shared was to define some indicators and criteria based on the objective. So you create your project, because it was multi-criteria projects that she showed us. You really get your criteria on what are the objectives for your project. You don't go in every direction. She also says that you need to allocate plenty of time for the data collection to make sure you have all the right data to be able to do your prioritization for the nature-based solutions that you are going to use. And then the tips that she has given us were about compromise between quality and quantity, and high resolution or low resolution. And also to, she actually say that as you need your a big computer to make it work hard for all the multi-criteria on GIS, it's always easier to use low resolution as much as you can if you don't really need high resolution processes, because you will be using a lot of power and strength from your computer for nothing. So that was her main tips and best practices. And here you can actually see the criteria she was using for her projects. The second speaker was Lauren. She's from Hawaii, and she actually presented us an application that is called Follow the Drop. And it's an application that is also working on phones to prevent or to raise awareness around the floods for Hawaii. And the best practices here, as it's a public-private philanthropic partnership for the water management, our best practices were really to identify the best partners straight away. And you can definitely include a partner that has some funding source for the initiative right from the start. And she also gave us the tips to start with a pilot and not go all the way on the full island that you want to implement, because it's really way more difficult, especially with many city councils, for example. And the last best practices that she gave us was really to adapt the message to the population, because if you want to touch everybody, then you really need to get the right information and the right message, and people are not always technical like we are. And so she gave us a few insights on how they actually use dashboards to get people around and maps. The second webinar was around water and artificial intelligence. It was in May. And so I presented a scientific literature review and technology watch around water and artificial intelligence, especially around the islands and the Pacific Islands. And so my tips at that time were, don't be afraid of AI, but don't blindly trust AI. You need to check and double check the result that it's giving to you. And here is a list of many articles that are very interesting and actually really new, because they were from 2024 or 2025, around the use of AI, for example, for ecological restoration or integrated water resource management. What you need to know also is that there is an artificial intelligence institute in the Asia Pacific with a website. And that, of course, you might already know about it, but Esri and QGIS have implemented some special toolbox or plugins with AI inside. It's the beginning. We also had Bertrand Lacroix from New Caledonia that presented Aqualone, which is an irrigation system that is kind of automatic. And so his best practices were to really get some measurements and measure your irrigation patterns to make sure that after you will be able to use the data to get the best for your production and for your energy cost of irrigation or water consumption. And it will make you able to identify where you can reduce your water consumption. In June, we had another webinar about climate change resilience for drinking water. Our speaker, the first one, was Thomas from Fiji, which is he's working at the Water Authority of Fiji. And he actually told us that in Fiji, Fiji is facing some vulnerability, like strong vulnerabilities in one of their main drinking water catchments, and it wasn't really expected. It was actually very unexpected. And so that's why that his best practices and tips is that you need to anticipate as soon as you can. You start capturing the data now, because they actually captured the data a bit too late and couldn't, anticipate that they will face some vulnerabilities on their main water source. And they are now thinking about looking for some alternative sources. After we had Sébastien from Insight New Caledonia that told us about how to map the water networks, which are reference maps for drinking water. Actually, if you need to analyze the vulnerability of your drinking water network, you do need to have some GIS files of these networks. And so his best practices were really to keep it simple and affordable when you try to map the water networks. So use open source tools if you want. And really, as we are talking about reference maps. The best practice and the tips is to identify the long-term governance to make sure that the same data will be used in 10 years or 20 years. And it's really to get the people trained in the city councils, to get them trained on the long-term basis on how to use these maps of water networks. In July, we had another webinar around the databases and the data availability around water resources. Our first speaker was Miko Tamura from the Philippines, and he's actually working with the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. And so he actually showed us what we could do with OpenStreetMap around water. And now OpenStreetMap can actually help in case of emergency or warning for halt. And he gave us the information about two applications or two tools that we can use, that they are open source, of course. And so it's Overpass Turbo if you want to download some water data directly from OpenStreetMap on your area. And the other one is also an export tool, but not only for water, but for whatever you need from OpenStreetMap. Just after, we had Mathieu and Anne from Vainatura that presented Hydro-Pacific, which is a new software for hydrology and hydrogeology. And so this shows everything that Hydro-Pacific can actually do. And so you import the data and then you can correct it. It's for really long time series of water flow, water height, underground groundwater levels or groundwater salinity, extra. And it helps you actually get everything in the database, show it on the map, and create activity reports or manage your field on the team and do some exports if you need them for some other studies like flood studies or drought studies, these kind of things. And so the tips really were that, well, you need to have the server capacity and location ahead to make sure that you will be able to use Hydro-Pacific at the best of its capacity. And if you want to implement a new software, look for a product that is easy to use and handle for you up to what you know and what you can. And what they also say is that the database, hydrology databases, it's not only the automatic time series data that are coming directly from your monitors, but also some data that is collected on the field by the teams, and there are these punctual data is actually here to make sure that your automatic data is still accurate. So this is important to really think about both at the same time when and software. In August, we focused on groundwater from Australia that went through groundwater monitoring in general. And so what he said really was to anticipate and design your groundwater monitoring as soon as you can, to really use criteria to decide why you're following groundwater and actually where also you want to follow groundwater, to make sure that you place the bores appropriately regarding your needs. We also had Dr. Katie Koloa from Papua New Guinea that gave us some information about a project she's got to analyze and, how to say, anticipate the potential zones for groundwater in the central province of Papua New Guinea. And so she actually, it's a work in progress. So she actually shared with us the methodology that they are using right now with GIS. And an example of maps that they can actually get to have the groundwater potentiality in the region where they are analyzing at the moment. And that was it for this year. And as I said earlier, the slides and docs are available on the website. Also, everything is on YouTube if you want to watch the replay. And you can definitely join our group because we will share the information all the time. Do you have any questions so far? Or everything is clear? No questions? All right. No question in the chat. Nobody wants to raise your hand, so I guess you are all happy. Great. Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Jean, and thanks, Nick. All right, let's continue then. Don't hesitate to ask if you have anything that you want to add. We are now going to focus on the creation of the Pacific Islands Country and Territories Regional Committee for the International Association of Hydrological Sciences. And so we are actually very happy to tell you that the IAHS accepted our proposition to create the regional committee. And maybe I will leave the floor to Chris. If Chris, you want to say a few words.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Paul. I don't really have much to say apart from the slides that you're about to prepare, but I'm glad that we were able to push this through and put ourselves on the map in the international hydrological community. Because IAHS has about 11,000 members, and we come under the umbrella now, so it draws interest to our region, and it also gives us a lot of opportunities for us in the Pacific Islands. That's just all what I wanted to say. Thanks, Paul. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
And
All
thanks
right.
to the COG-WR platform. It was a really big help for getting this up and running.
Sure.
Cheers.
I'll show you the slides, and if you want to add, then you're welcome to add. So
Sure.
for those of you that were not present in March when actually Chris presented the EUGG and the IAHS, so the International Union of Geodesy and Geophysics is the international organization that is dedicated to advancing, promoting, and communicating knowledge of the Earth system, its space environment, and the dynamical processes causing change. And why I'm talking to you about EUGG is because the International Association of Hydrological Sciences is one of the 8 semi-autonomous associations that is under EUGG. And if you want more information, you can scan this QR code. I'll leave you just a few seconds. And so around about IAHS, so its mission is to collectively advance and promote hydrological sciences worldwide and to contribute to interdisciplinary understanding of the water cycle processes, sustainable use of water resource, and risk mitigation. And so the IAHS actually started in 1922, where during the first General Assembly of the IUGG, there was a section of hydrology, but then 8 years later, the IAHS was actually created separately, but under IUGG. And so there's strong links between IAHS and UNESCO, or the World Meteorological Organization. This is the vision of IAHS. It's really to get inclusive scientific knowledge exchange around hydrology, which is what we want to do too for COG water resources. So that's where we actually match. If you want more information on the association, international association, you can get it here. And so as Chris was saying, you have more than 11,000 members today in that very big association around water. The initiative of IAHS, you've got the scientific decades. And so at the moment, since 2023, we are in the helping decade. And it's actually a bottom-up process to empower the local hydrologists and scientists to use open science to actually try to solve some local water problems. It's really, the bottom up is really important, and that's where we actually play a role, being in the Pacific Islands. Inside the IAHS, you have 11 international commissions, just so you know. There's also 4 committees now, as we are the number 4. Yay! You also have some working groups. You have more information about all this on the website. They also created an academy to organize some short schools and trainings and educational programs since 2023. And they created the Digital Water Club to share the results and the research around water. So we are here, the 4th committee. And so the aim for us as becoming a regional committee is really to improve cooperation and collaboration, still to connect the local scientists with regional and global hydrological community, to share knowledge and resources, do some capacity building and training, try to participate to the Young Scientist Travel Award that is from IAHS. And the good news is with IAHS, we will actually be able to get some grant application and support, financial support. So you can find here the blueprint that we propose to the Bureau of IAHS. If you want to know more about what is included in the regional committee, then it's here. And of course, you can always stay tuned on our COG Water Resource LinkedIn, which will be transferred in the coming months toward being the LinkedIn for the IAHS PICT Regional Committee. We will have to see how we get COG Water Resource and the PICT Regional Committee in the same level of information in the LinkedIn. But yes, and so right now, as it's an association, we have a board. And so the members are myself as the chair, Nicolas, that has been co-animating with me since the beginning as a secretary, and Chris as a treasurer. But right now we are looking for active members to join us in the board. So if you want to join, you can scan here the QR code. It's a Google form where you can actually say if you want to be just a normal member or a board member and what you would like to do. So feel free to scan the code and try to join us. Do you have any questions so far, or? It's actually here. If you want to join us, it's here. And actually, as I know that you wouldn't be talking to me, I created a Mentimeter here. So if you scan that QR code, you should be able to reach Mentimeter. Oops, I need to start it on my side, I believe. All right. And so the first question is, what is your first reaction discovering this new collaboration between COG Water Resource and the Pacific Island countries and territories for a regional committee for the International Association on Hydrological Sciences. Yes, I can put the link here. Let me see. Up. Can you see it, Maël? Does it work for you? Did everybody manage to get to the link, or do you need more time to get the QR code? I see there's some answers showing up. I wanted to share the results so that I can see already. There you go. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I'm actually glad too. There we go. So it's going to go big. Yes. If there's a word that you like, you can type it again exactly the same so it gets bigger. But if it's okay for you, then we can, yeah. Let me know when you're good. We'll pass to the second question. Okay. All right. Thank you for all your answers. This is great. It's very inspiring. The second question is actually, what risks or limits should we be careful of in this new collaboration? So if you have any things that you want to share about where we need to be careful, now is the time. Okay, anything else? I like to keep link to operational, yes. All right. Do you see anything else? So somebody typed in the chat, maybe I should check. Okay, put the link, sure. No, I don't have the link. All right. Okay, well, thank you everybody for your answers. And I see that Chris asked me to put the link for the board for the Google form, but I can't find it actually. It's on the other, it was in the other PowerPoint. So I'll have to find it. I'll try to share it at the end of the presentation. Okay. All right. So I'm stopping this. Thank you all for your answers. I hope you had the time to look at them. If not, I will show them again. You tell me. And let's do it. Okay, so did everybody manage to scan the QR code here or not really? Oops, sorry. This one for the Google form to be a board member. And I will try to share the link at the end when I find it again, because I don't have it right now. I'm sorry about that. All right. Now we're gonna go through a quick review of the OGS 2025 before organizing 2026 together. And as I look at the time, I'll try to go a bit faster. So as you might have seen on LinkedIn, at the end of November, it was the Geospatial Week for the Pacific Islands, where you had the Pacific GIS and Remote Sensing Council seminar and the Oceania Geospatial Symposium 2025 that were held in Suva, Fiji. And so for the Oceania Geospatial Symposium, we actually had two half days of workshops. The first one was around land cover, and the second one was around water resources. For the water resource workshop, and you can see the pictures, we had roughly a bit more than 30 participants, where we actually did some co-construction sessions in group of 3 around water quality, earth observation, and GIS for water, and the roadmap for 2026. And we actually used Mentimeter, Google Forms, UMaps, like we are kind of used to do in water resource, right? So for the first intelligence session that we had around water quality indicators, these are the first results we got. So it's mainly for Fiji and Kiribati, because we were in Fiji and we had many people from Fiji, but we actually had also some share from PNG and Wallis and Futuna. And so you can see that really the lack of access about and availability of the data, the technology and expertise around water salination and access to the baseline information is really the main problems to be able to get some indicators after. People were telling us what is missing and trying to get some solutions, and funding is one of the problems we can see here and here. But they also talked about portable water treatment systems. So maybe this is something that we can actually get a bit more information on for our next next webinars. And so people also gave us some pilot sites. If you want to add your own ideas, you can scan the code. All right. The second intelligence session we had was about how to use Earth observation and the GIS tools for water resource management. We had actually a bit more propositions that were added. Oops, sorry. It was mainly around the accessibility of the tools, the lack of knowledge on how to use the tools, and sometimes there's no tools inside the institutions, or there's no access to some of the datasets that are actually some reference datasets. It's the same here. And so some solutions were proposed using like Digital Earth Pacific or using Google Earth Engine and some other softwares, but it's the same. Most of the time, people don't know how to use them or don't know that they exist. So this is also something that we can think of for next year. And as you can see, workshop trainings, improved collaboration is always proposed as solutions. The same as creating some baseline maps. I said reference, but it's baseline maps, yes. And in the same thing, a few pilot sites were shared. If you want to also give your ideas to this proposition, if you scan the QR code, you'll go on the Google form where you can put your own idea. These are the subjects that people actually propose for next year if we are organizing the new webinars. And so modeling was a big one, and distribution network also, catchment modeling. So this is something that we will think about. Around training, mainly what came was the water flow data and awareness on water management. So we will think about it. And also people asked how to use Digital Earth Pacific. So this is really something that we can think of with Nicolas. We also talked about creating a mentorship program. And so these are the answers. But the good news is actually that I'm going to do another interactive session for you. So you will be able to actually give your own opinion on these questions. And then other ideas that emerged from the Oceania Geospatial Symposium is to do some technical trainings, organize some regional workshop, and try to involve the local institution, for example, for the COG-WR resource. And the good news is now that we are actually a regional committee into the International Association on Hydrological Sciences, we will for sure get some links for regional workshops or trainings, publications, and try to get everything working at a bigger scale. So we will see how it goes in 2026, but it's the good news for today. And so the next steps that were proposed and at the end of the Oceania Geospatial Symposium were to join the working groups like the COG-WR resource. Don't hesitate to share your feedback to make sure that we actually have more impact and we are more answering your own needs. And don't hesitate to be part of the development of the roadmaps to make sure that whatever we do, it's here to help you. So a few pictures for those of you that couldn't attend. We had some cava time. We had some very nice sunsets, some great food, and smile all the time. And to finish, it's another interactive session, and I would like to organize 2026 with you. And so we are going to switch back again to the Mentimeter where we were earlier. So just give me a minute so I can actually go to the next slide. There you go. If you're still connected to, I don't know if you're still connected to the Mentimeter. If not, I'm going to share again the QR code and the link to get to it. The link is the same as the one earlier for Maël. Okay, and so the question is now, oh, it didn't change? Come, it didn't change. Yes. And so now you can actually type what you think a subject would be good for one of our webinars for next year. So whatever you feel like that we need to talk about during a webinar, please feel free to type it. And I'm going to check if everybody's connected. Yeah, it seems like you guys are connected, so I can switch to the answers. All right. And you can type as many as you want. You're not stuck with only one answer, so don't hesitate to type many answers. So yeah, the question is really, what would you like to see during our webinars that will really help you for your day-to-day practices or your day-to-day problems? If you tell us what your difficulties are, then we will try to answer them. I only have 2 people that responded. Where are the other ones? You don't need anything? So that's it? Okay, if this is it, let's go to the next slide. If we're talking about trainings now, what trainings would you like us to organize next year? Yeah, Digital Earth Pacific is a good one. Okay, anything else? I see that catchment modeling is coming up again, which is something that was asked in the previous during the OGS. So I can actually type it again if you want, but I've seen it. We've seen it before. Is it okay with you? Anything else that you would like us to try to find some trainers for? And something that will be useful for you? No? All right. Next question is actually if you have anybody that you know that could be a trainer. If not, yes. You might have people also in your departments or in your country. So working in the universities in your country, for example. So don't hesitate to share their name and we will actually try to reach them. Yeah, thank you guys. Good. Anybody else? Yes, there we go. Anybody else maybe from Fiji or some other islands? Yes. No, I don't know Mark Baker actually. It's a good one. Yeah, if you have some special names, it would be good because in IRD or in Med Services, if we don't know who to ask, I'm pretty sure that when we will send the email, it's not gonna go through because it's gonna be not directed to a special person. So if you have any names, feel free to share them now so we can actually look for these people. That's it. There we go. That's a good one. No. Okay. Perfect. All right. And now last questions, I think, or almost last. What do you think of a mentorship between our members? And it's actually going to work when we'll be the regional committee. This is something that we can actually submit as an idea. So if you can just tell us what you think about that, you just need to click on one of the answers, please. I only have 3 answers. Anybody else? Come on, guys, don't be shy. Okay, great. Sounds good. Thank you for your answers. Still missing 3, but I don't know if they're gonna answer. So, and it's already 4 past, so up. All right, this is the last question. If you have any other idea that we missed, and I'll just give you 1 minute on this one. Maybe we missed things, so it's now time to say if we missed anything. Did we miss anything? Do you have any more questions? Maybe not. All right. About this. All right. I guess we didn't miss anything because I don't have any answers. So let's switch back to the main presentation. And the good news is we just reached the end of my presentation. And so I really wanted to thank you for attending tonight. And I will be very glad to see you in 2026. And yeah, okay, Jean, more trainings if possible. We'll do our best to have more trainings. Sounds good. And so Merry Christmas to all of you. I wish that you all have some happy summer holidays. And we will have our launch webinar for 2026. It's already planned on in March. And in the meantime, as always, you can stay connected on the LinkedIn COG-WR Resources. And I do hope that we will reach 100 before the end of the year. Does anybody want to say something before we wrap up?
Yeah, maybe on my side, just to thank you all, and overall to thank you, Pearl, for animating those webinars and this K animation for the region. So thank you for that. The most important, but as well as the most difficult, is to get someone to ensure this K animation. This is not the easiest role to play, but you do it really well. And I sincerely, on behalf of the whole community, wanted to thank you so much for ensuring this for so many months now. And yeah, you're doing it really well, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you for
Thanks,
joining
everyone.
again. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best up to next year.